Hello out there in Twitch land. Time on the clock reads 10:30. Time on the clock reads 10:30 and it is Wednesday. That means we are messing around with Starfinder using fantasy grounds, prepping for our Sunday night game. All right, the sound is coming through okay. Looks like everything is running while we're waiting for this to load. Don't forget to subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. Come check me out live. I also do D&D 5e on Tuesdays. And if you want to see how all of this plays out during in actual gameplay, Sunday nights, 5:30 Pacific time to 8 o'clock, couple and a half hours. Stop by, say hello. If you do stop by on Wednesdays to watch as we mess around with Starfinder, I'll be glad to show you some things. I know how to do a lot of the coding. I'm by no means an expert, but coding in actions and things like your trick attacks, your feats, all those type of stuff that they haven't automated yet. I can help you out with that. So feel free to ask any questions you might have. All right, so my group we are in Dead Sons, book 4. Here it is. Boom. Book 4, The Ruined Clouds, is what we're working on right now. They went off on a tangent for a little while, and now they've sort of reined themselves back in. They have found themselves on this huge gas giant planet. Floating above this gas giant is a tiny, I'll go ahead and right click anywhere on an image. You can then resize it by going to 3 o'clock. 6 o'clock is when I always use just horizontal. So this is the city of Istamak. It is a ruined city, thousands of years, not quite abandoned, but the main race that was there called the Kish, Kish, they sort of devolved over the last couple thousand years into almost barbarian type creatures that use, while this city was technologically advanced, the ones that exist now use archaic axes and bow and arrows. They have virtually no technology to speak of. The majority of them live up here. What happened is these cultists that the group is fighting, there's the party has found clues to this huge thing called a stellar degenerator that is supposed to be a weapon that has the potential to destroy suns and thus the whole galaxy where that sun is. And so the cult of the devourer is one of those destroy everything because for the sake of destroying it we want to bring back the devourer and kill everybody. They're not in it for domination, they're just in it for pure destruction, for destruction's sake. The Eoxian corpse fleet, which is a race of undead people, they are in it for domination. They're also searching for this thing. The cult of the devourer beat who the group has been chasing now. came here first, and this is not part of the Pact Worlds. If you're familiar with Starfinder at all, this is out in the vast, is what it's called, and so the Cult of the Devourer came here. They came into this thing called the Temple Found, which is sort of like a sacred place for these barbaric people. Took what they wanted, killed a couple of them, left, despite being welcomed. So now the Kish are very angry, and so they've set up this blockade of troops and things to stop people from going into this Temple Found. That's when the group comes into play. They land there at the bottom right. You see there's a little ship token, and that's they come onto the scene. There's a sect of people that from the original group who say, hey, this temple shouldn't be cordoned off. Anybody should be able to go there, because they're also stopping the Kish from going in there as well now. And so the leaders says, no, get out. So they exiled that group. That group of people is about 100 or so, leaves and comes down to here, and they're living in a thing called the Cloudside Condominiums, place called the Cloudside Condominiums. The group comes, befriends them, and finds out in order to get into the Temple Found, there might be a back way. And to find out what that back way is, they have to go to two places that are sacred to the Kish. One is called the Maze of Ghosts, the other is a House of Renewal. They went to the Maze of Ghosts, which it turned out to be a museum. They found a ancient communicator and got some clues as well that way as well. They were able to determine there's like similar to an IP address on this thing from where these messages, there was a little bit of a message on the communicator, if I can speak. And so they need to find another communicator like this or some other clues so that they can determine where these broadcasts came from, because without being able to triangulate it, single message, it doesn't really do them a lot of good. So they're now on their way to the House of Renewal. As I mentioned, they got a little sidetracked. After they went to the Maze of Ghosts, they then came back to the condominium, spent the night, and then just searched every single building along the way, all up through here. So I made them, this is called the Palace of Screams. Um, and by the way, that paragraph is all they have in this module for any location except for the 4 main locations they're supposed to go to. So I then had to, so all of these little things, um, that all these little places have these little tiny paragraphs. So I made, as I continued to search and search and search, I made a quick little fight encounter here. I added this whole medical center here, that they searched through, sort of like a little mini dungeon, um, and they were able to find some things, including a companion. So here's a medical center that I made for them. This is all off book. And then I also made a laboratory. Not sure exactly where they were going to go at this point, but when they finished the medical center, they sort of regrouped and said, okay, wait a minute. We're wasting a lot of time here searching through all these through this ruined city. Um, the Cult of the Devourer is, 'cause I kept trying to hint and without railroading them. I just want to let them know, hey, the more time you spend here, the farther away the Cult of the Devourer is getting from you. So they decided, well, what we're going to do is, while we do want to search this location and this weird building, this blue building, and these buildings up here, instead, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the House of Renewal first. And so they wandered over here, and they decided, well, hey, we'll go ahead and check out the Field of Honor real quick, which again only has a short little paragraph. Looks like my camera froze. There we go. Are we back? I'm going to do this real quick, get my camera working again. All right. And so now they did finally get to the House of Renewal. There was a fight here in the Fields of Honor that I added in, and now they're at the House of Renewal. So what we're doing today, we're going to check out the House of Renewal a little bit. I've read through it probably 10 times now, maybe even more than that. I do have the book, which is rare for me. I didn't actually order it. A friend of mine had it already. So it is nice having the physical copy because I can just take it in it with me if I'm going somewhere and know I have time to wait. I can browse through it and skim through it, and I can find things very quickly and easily. Um, some of these, Paizo is not known for making its material easily searchable. So if I'm looking for one particular thing in the rule book, sometimes it can take quite a while to find it. If I'm looking for one person in this or an item that it mentions, sometimes it can be a challenge. So having the physical copy, I can just flip through the pages, whereas with Fantasy Grounds, everything that's in this, in theory, is in Fantasy Grounds, um, but it's not as easy as it is to just flick through the content as it is on a physical copy. But point is, I'm somewhat familiar with this, so it's not going to take me very long to do a recap to remind myself what's going on. Um, and then the big question is, what are they going to do after the House of Renewal? I do have a couple. I have a random encounter set up for an outside encounter. I also have a laboratory map that I have made with possible and made a list of possible NPCs that they might encounter. Um, so if they do decide to go off on a tangent and I don't have time to prep or do anything else, I've at least got bare bones and I can run it. I can run it from here with what I've got, and that map can be stuck anywhere. So if they go north, I can make this laboratory. See, I have it pinned as laboratory. Um, if they go somewhere else, I can make a different building laboratory. So once they leave the House of Renewal, I'm ready to go. One other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to spend some time reviewing the House of Renewal and the map. I mean the encounters. It's pretty linear um, because although I'll show you the map, here's the overall map. Um, the way that they have it set up, so it looks like a regular building, but this is rubble here. Let's make it a little bit bigger for you guys on stream. Hopefully you're not watching this on the phone trying to see everything on your phone, but um, so there you go. It is somewhat linear because when they come in here, the only exit they can use is here. Then they get to here, yeah, they can search up here, but then they have to go down here. They have to come to here. The only way out of here is through this trapped door into here, and they have to go here. So this is pretty much the only time they have a choice is when they hit this hallway. They can go up into here, to these two, and then finally into the big room here. Um, and then they had to work, and then they backtrack back out. So it makes it simple, makes it nice as far as that's concerned. The problem is my group, this is book 4, as I mentioned. At the end of book 1, book 2, sorry, at the end of book 2, they got an invitation to a resort. There's a brand new resort. There's this huge company, well known for their resorts. Um, was opening this new resort in the middle of the diaspora, which is this huge asteroid belt, and as long as along with several other celebrity type guests, the group was offered a free stay as long as it was similar to Big Brother, where the TV show, where they would provide live updates. They would do some interviews and endorsements, that type of thing. The whole thing is if they can get the backing of these famous people who say they love the resort, then a lot of people will come to the resort. So they were given this free week at this resort. Uh, the resort also had this new AI, artificial intelligent um, concierge service, to where uh, similar to Alexa, where you can do everything through this AI. So your meals, your planning your day, uh, communicate with other guests, all these different things that you can do with this cool new AI that they had come up with. So they wanted you to endorse the AI and endorse this new uh, resort. Long story short, there was this whole bit with a shadow plane taking over the resort. It turned out to be this twisted nightmare of evil. Um, and they gained 2 levels, I believe, during that adventure. If it's something you're interested in running, it's a Signal of Screams, and it it is really well written as a horror type suspense. It does require you to the better role players you have and the better DM you have, the better it's going to run. Because it says they have nightmares. It says they see visions, and it's up to the GM. They give you some ideas, but then you have to run with it. Um, I had a lot of fun with it. My players enjoyed it a lot, um, and um, there's some really dark stuff. Hey Drake, nice to see you. So the point of all that is that when they get to book 4, they're a couple levels higher than what the book is written for, because of this little hiatus they took. So I have to go through and just double checking and making sure that the encounters that they run into um, are hard enough for them. Um, as I said, these Kish that they're fighting are archaic, and if you know, so Starfinder's written such that any kind of archaic weapon just can't stand up against these newfangled armor and stuff that people have, so they do 5 less damage. Um, so these things, they only had 2 Kish here in this raiding room, for example. Um, there's no way, regardless of how many crits they roll, that even 4 of these, double what they had in here first, um, would be able to defeat the party. Even if I hadn't boosted their level, just because their weapons and stuff. Um, but I like to make it interesting, keep it going. They attack. They're in the middle of a fight right now. They're going to come into here, which will There's no encounter in this one. And then there, in the supply closet, there's a treasure. So we don't care about that. Then they come into here, the reception desk. Again, there's nothing here. Again, this is very linear. Um, Drake, if you're listening, I don't know if you're just lurking or if you're actually listening, but I enjoyed the game last night. Appreciate it. Drake is my dungeon master. Uh, play a couple different games with him. Check out his stuff. He's also on Twitch, and it's Drake Takes, all one word, DRAKETAKES. Um, I host him a lot, so if you happen to come back here, you can see it there. Also look down below. You can see he's my suggestions down below. He's also on YouTube. Check him out. Drake Takes. Search Drake Takes on YouTube and you'll find him. All right, he's a very good DM. Does a lot of research, adds a lot of images, and very good with voices. So I've learned a lot from him. All right, so now the mural gallery does have a trap. Over here on this door over here. But this is the first real fight they get into when they come up here. Like I said, I've read this several times. Um, just reminding myself just to make sure. I expect them to finish the fight, get through the trap room, the supply room, and maybe start this fight here in the time we have. It depends. Sometimes they can get sidetracked. Other times they can just plow through. So I had to be a little bit more flexible. All right, so this encounter had so what this place is it's an ancient couple thousand-year old medical center, and there's a machine in here that the Kish, the race, step into, and it's supposed to scan them. When it's working, it scans them and then fixes and or enhances them. So uh, at the molecular level. Well, it doesn't always work because it's several thousand years old and it's not had maintenance in that whole time. So it makes things like this called a rebuild. Uh, there's a percentage chance, I don't remember what the exact numbers are, but these Kish will come, they pray, and if they think if they're found worthy, then it fixes them, heals them of whatever disease they have. If they're not found worthy, it turns them into this thing or kills them outright. So the people in the waiting room were just waiting for their friend who was hurt to go try the machine, and it fails and turns them into this, and they're gonna come fight. So um, there was originally only one of these things in the room, and I instead added a second one. Honestly, I could probably even add a third, and they would still walk through this, but I'm gonna leave it the way it is. I don't mind them being like heroes, where they can just walk through a couple encounters every once in a while. Um, all right, so I'm just checking out the special abilities, reminding myself what they do. They have a slam attack, is what they mostly do. Um, DR5, so it looks like they have a damage reduction of 5. Yeah. When they come back out, the little girl, Drake says, so there could be a little girl in the waiting room that says, no, that's my daddy, don't hurt him. I might have that happen afterward, where the girl comes in and his wife and his 3 kids. It's been a while. I was wondering what's going on. All of his friends are dead. What's going on? Oh no! And now you killed our husband. That's funny. All right. Does not take double damage from critical hits, but is affected by critical hit effects normally. Okay, that is very important. Let me look and see real quick how that is denoted in the combat tracker. Yeah, they you can. I found it funny on their initiative last time. The party rolled 139955, which is unheard of for them. All right, Drake. Well, thanks for stopping by and saying hello. I appreciate it. So we're gonna throw this in the combat tracker because so he has effects, aberration traits, and does show the damage reduction. So that'll remind me to make sure that they have to give them back the damage reduction. Um, all right, so it says amorphous right here. Okay, so I just need to make sure. Can I mess with this? I could. All right, so what I'm going to do then, let's see. Stats, okay. Yeah, I'm not as familiar with the. All right. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to add it here in this room. Actually, it does say that there were 2. I'm going to add a third just to make it more challenging. But before I do that on here, so it says tactics during combat. Open it up, unlock it. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a note to myself. Read the amorphous trait before combat. And don't forget the damage reduction. All right, so I'm just adding that in because that amorphous trait where they don't take the double damage, but they do take the effect of the critical is pretty important um, during the fight. Dark vision, I know what that is. Unworkable extremities. All right, so it just says that they can't wield a weapon or use items that require an action to activate. So if there's anything that's in the room, or if character drops a weapon, or if they kill somebody, they couldn't pick up the weapon and attack with it. So that's the whole point of that. All right, so that's it for this room. We're going to add a third. All right, so we're going to delete this guy from the combat tracker. We are going to add this. So there's 2 of them over here. I'm just going to put them all together. Why not? Let's make it interesting. Maybe they're over there playing patty cake with their newfound limbs. Oops, this is the wrong map. Let me get rid of this. Yeah, when it doesn't have a grid, you realize, oh yeah, that's the wrong map. Here we go. Zoom in a bit so I can see the grid. Perfect. These are large creatures. I mean, medium creatures. Okay, which makes sense. When they go into a machine, it's not really going to change their size. It's not Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but I'm just going to stick him. Let's do it randomly. Why not? So based on him, 8-sider and a 4-sider. So 8-sider, 4-sider, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. Okay, so he's going to be just inside. 1, 2. Take these guys out of the combat tracker. A couple things I've also been doing to make the fights a little bit more challenging for them is maxing out the hit points of the creatures sometimes, because, like I said, they're so high. They're much higher level than they 2 levels above what they should be. So um, that helps make the fights last a little bit longer. Okay, so the rebuilds are here. There's another one. There he is. Okay. Then they come in here. I don't believe there are any encounters in any of these 3 rooms. Let's check real quick. There are not. These are all little like recovery rooms. There's a treasure in this one, but no traps or encounters. And then the last encounter should be here. Here's a picture of, that's the thing that they go into. That turns them into these things. That's what they were looking for. So they mentioned, if you remember at the top of the video, I mentioned that they found a old ancient communicator. This is it. That's what it looks like. And it has part of a staticky message. And so there is no other fights. Cool. Okay, that makes it simple. So it'll just be a matter of going through here, finding the last piece. What that'll allow them to do is it'll then send them to this place. So they're trying to get into that temple. Well, the temple has security measures, and the security measures were made by a company, and these 2 data pads send them to that company, and that company is up here in the Broken Lands. So they go to one, I believe it's this one. I don't know that it matters, but they go to one of these floating islands. Hopefully not falling into the gas giant as they try to grapple and move their way across from island to island. And I'm pretty sure there's an encounter. They're attacked as they're because it's not hard enough just to survive grappling hooks. But they go through there and they get what they need to get into the temple, and then they go to the temple, get what they need in there, and then they're done. Presuming, of course, they don't sit there and go throughout the whole city like they have been. So, and that's fine. I honestly don't mind them doing that. I have been having a lot of fun. It's a little different in that this is not its own um, planet or anything. So I have more. I'm limited, but yet have a little bit more freedom when it comes to things that they can find and things that they can fight. So their encounters have been undead and robots, pretty much, is what they've been fighting. Um, there are a couple living things around up here in this hunting ground area up here, uh, and so they've come across the Palace of Screams. Is Palace of Screams because of this raccoon type terrible vermin thing that lives in it that screams like a howler monkey. And and I've made a couple different like flying creatures because there's this huge 80-story um, building over here, right here. Um, anyway, one of these has an 80-story building called the Spire that has things living in it up at the in the upper reaches of the spire. This is it right here, the spires. Um, this big, tall, huge building, uh, and yep, 80 stories tall. Uh, Skyscrapers right in the middle. So I have a couple flying creatures and things in the, and there are some random encounters that are included in the book that I've used all but one of. So, and then there's also a scouting party from the original Kish village that she lives here. All right, so I'm pretty much ready to go. I feel comfortable. I'm going to read through using the book. I'm going to read through those rooms again, just to remind myself what's in them, the flavor of the descriptions and stuff of those rooms. So now we've got about half an hour left. What we're going to be doing is going through, making sure my characters have all their actions and all of their feats. Um, Starfinder is somewhat complex, so there's a lot of variety, a lot of choices, and it seems like every month they're coming out with new stuff. Um, Even if you just use the core rule book, um, there's tons of choices, lots of variety, which is cool. But there's also a lot of different things that you have to keep track of, and it's easy for the characters. My players are not like me in that I love this game, and I love reading about it, and I love listening to podcasts about it, and watching videos about it. Um, and I'll go over my character over and over while we're playing and things, and read through, make sure I'm trying to remember everything I do. Um, my players are not like that. I have, for this particular game, I have 3 players right now because I keep trying to find a fourth. Hint, hint. But 2 of them don't play any role-playing games at all. One of them, this was their first role-playing game ever. My brother, actually. He's actually doing really well. He plays a drow, and the very first night he used dazzling. I mean, my mind's from blank. The cantrip that you can make the globes of light. He used that to. Let me double check. Dancing lights. That's what it is. He used dancing lights to try to blind somebody. So I mean, he's wasn't a natural and fell right into it, and does a real good job. He actually runs 2 characters in this, um, but he doesn't think about role playing games, doesn't play games at all, isn't even a video gamer or anything. Um, and the other one, another player, she was in a D&D game on and then stopped that. So this is the only thing she plays, and besides Sunday nights, this doesn't cross her mind at all. Um, I believe. So, point is, I'm trying to make it to where, in a sense, they're weaker characters just because they're not as familiar with it, and then they forget things that they have, forget stuff that they can do because they have so many little niche things. In this particular situation, if the moon is full, and if you have your left eye closed, then this could happen. So you really need to know all those details, because when that happens, if you forget, then you lose out. So What I was doing is putting everything as a spell because for a while that's the only way you could do it was have things that code. The only way to code things were to do it as a spell. Now you can do it underneath your actions page. Um, you can do make character or racial character class abilities and feats and things. You can make those down here. So just want to make sure everything's here. So what this guy does is he can make these grenades. Um, he his character can spend 10 minutes. He's a little Yusoki, a little rat man, and he can take 10 minutes to build a there we go. Sorry about that. I mistyped and used my hotkey. Um, so he let me show you. So these that's what Yusoki look like. But he's a soldier, can build a lot. Pretty much if you think of Rocket Raccoon from Guardians of the Galaxy, to what this guy is. Naturally engineer. The race itself is our natural engineers. All right, so let's go to inventory. I don't know why. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to, let's check something real quick. The cryo grenade. So the cryo grenade, so what I did is I added all the weapons, possible grenades he could make at the highest level that he could make them. And then in theory, he equips one when he makes it for 10 minutes. He can't make multiple ones. He can only have one at a time. Uses it and then just clicks that it's no longer equipped and picks another one next time he waits. The nice thing with Starfinder is their short rest. Instead of being an hour like D&D, it's 10 minutes. So he can spend that 10-minute rest building a grenade. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the cryo grenade on his actions page. All right, let's see. So this is cryo grenade 1. So I got rid of it. It's no longer in his actions. If I then equip it, does it put it back? It does not. Okay. I still don't want all this stuff here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and they have the toggles here as well, but it's just too much stuff. I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of all these ones that he doesn't have. And I will manually add it as I need to. So these are two of the same thing. All right, so this is he is carrying it, but it's not equipped. This is a rifle that he has, but it doesn't have any weapons for it. I mean, any ammo for it. They found it, and they have not made any rounds for it. They haven't been back to the ship and took the time to make bullets for it. Okay, so just checking here real quick. Alright, so he does have a null space chamber, so the sweep sweeper he is not carrying. These are all not carried because they're in. So the null space chamber is basically a bag of holding. Alright, so now his action page is a little bit better. Let's see. Oh, wait a minute, the microbot grenade, again, should not be here. Haste circuit, okay, so these other ones he does have, alright. And we're going to go ahead and get rid of the street sweeper until he finds better bullets. Alright, well, it's not perfect, but it's a lot better than it was. In this way. So we're going to go to the abilities. And what I'm doing is just checking to make sure he has all these things here. So let's see. I'm going to open them up. Alright, deadly aim just gives you base. Yep, that needs to be coded. He has enhanced resistance already coded. I know that. Far shot allows him to. That should also be coded. Let's make sure. Opening volley. Whenever you deal damage to an opponent with a ranged attack on your first turn in combat, you get a +2 to your next melee attack roll against that opponent. Okay. For one turn. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have that one in there that allows him to shoot point blank without having getting a +3 to his armor class. So he has a +1 bonus to attack with his sniper rifle, which I'm pretty sure is in there already. Let's see, the coil. Yes, it has 14 on that, and he has 11 on everything else. All right, give me just a moment, folks. All right, so we have all of these feats. I'm going to come down here. Some of them I put as spells, as I mentioned earlier. So, all right, Slippery Shooter. Let's open up the combat tracker and see what he's got there. All right, so I don't have Slippery Shooter here. Yeah, I do. +3 versus air while making range attacks. All right, sorry about the barking. Okay, so Slippery Shooter is done. I'm good with that. Opening volley, I don't see on here. So this does. It's not here either, and it's not on his actions page. Okay, so this I should be able to code. I don't know if I'll be able to figure it out. If this was 5e, I know I could figure it out. But if nothing else, I can at least put a reminder up in his effects. So let's take a look here. Whenever you deal damage on your first turn in combat, you gain a +2 bonus to your melee attack roll against that opponent. So basically, he shoots him, bam, and then he can run up and punch him in the face and get a bonus. Okay, so all I'm going to do for this is I'm just going to put a reminder in here because it's too specific. It's easier just to add the +2 to the modifier if he hits. You can just click the little down here, the flat-footed. That gives him a +2 to his attack. So he has to shoot somebody with a ranged attack. He has to hit and do damage. If all those three things happen, and he then runs up and does a melee attack against that same specific opponent, then he gets +2 to hit. So, as I mentioned, some of these things are very specific. Now, the cool thing is knowing this, he can play his character like that and plan that to shoot, run up, and smack him and things like that. So, but in order to remind him of this, so let's go here in feats. You open this up with the magnifying glass. Number of section, right now there's only one, so we're going to add a second one. This is going to be called opening volley. So what I like to do is I like to make sure they are able to see all the details right from here without having to go dig for it and find it somewhere else on the character sheet. So this is the source is a feat. It's not a class. It is a combat feat, and it's particular. There is no level for feats. I'm going to put this summary here, and then I'm going to fix it because it's too long for a summary. And then, so here's all the specifics. Boom. So you can open it up from here and look at it. So we're just going to change it. Ranged hit equal plus Sorry guys, I keep hitting the plus button. The box here is for how many times you can do it a day. So we don't need to worry about that because you can do it every time there's a fight. So all I'm going to do on this is you right click on it, add an action, add an effect. I'm going to copy this because this is pretty succinct. If you open up this, it is only on himself, doesn't expire, and I like to say what it is. Opening volley. Boom, ranged hit equals +2 melee attack. All right, and then you close it, and then we'll add it to him. Boom. So now it's up here, opening volley. Click the magnifying glass, click the gray thing. Now it's gone again. All right, so opening volley is there. So far shot, let's check the spells. It's not there, and it's not in his actions either. -1 per full range increment between you and your target when using a ranged weapon. All right, so the way that works is, so for example, his scattergun has a range of 15. And actually just, I don't want to confuse everybody, so we'll use the coil rifle. The coil rifle is 70, range of 70. Up to 70 feet, no minus. From 71 to 140, it's a -2. From 141 to 210, it's a -4. Yeah, -2, -4. In his case, he only has, it's only, his 71 to 140 is -1, and his 141 to 210 is -2. So, because he's a sniper. And so, it fits his character. We're going to do another one here. 3. Close it. Boom, this is far shot. And we're just going to do the same exact thing we just did. So it makes it really easy. You just double click here to open this up. And this is somewhat repetitive, but that's fine. And this is -1 per range increment. Did I spell that right? I did. Okay. Again, I open it up. Source is a feat. Is it a combat feat? It is a combat feat. Okay. So combat feat. So as a soldier, every even level he gets a combat feat. Everybody in the game, every odd level gets any feat they want. So that's why it's important to note that this is a combat feat because he only gets those certain times. Yeah, see, you normally take a -2 per full range increment, whereas for him, it's only he takes a 1. He only takes 1. And I'm going to go ahead and put that in there just in case. Normally, without this feat, just to make sure they don't misunderstand me. And then we do the same thing we just did. Left, right click, add an effect. And let's see. Okay, so it does change to a hand. So all I need to do is just go like this and go bink. It drops it in there. And then put what it is. Far shot again. Self never. Close. Add it. Boom. All right, so we added a couple feats. So um, we are out of time, so we will go ahead and leave it here for today. Just out of curiosity, let's see. Deadly aim gives you. Oh yeah, that's a choice. I don't have that there. Yeah, so I'll go ahead and do that. This one will probably. This is a so when he takes an attack action or a full attack, uh, he can add an additional minus to his hit to do more damage. Um, so that I should be able to code for 1 round, -2 to attack, plus so much damage, and it'll go away at the end of the round. So I should be able to code that. Um, Barricade I don't have up here. And that's very easy to give him a minus. It gives him cover. So it's just a matter of giving him a +2 to his armor class. That's also very easy to do. And it also all right. So it has hit points and everything like that too. I typically don't worry about that. We'll see. Regaining hit points when he takes an 8-hour rest. I might code that as a heal. Why not? I'll go ahead and I'll hold that. I'll code that as a healing thing. That's really easy. So I might do those next stream. So we'll talk to a friend and make sure I code this correctly. And then I'll show you guys how to code it next time. So again, thank you so much for hanging out with me for this hour. As Click and Clack says, you've wasted another hour. If you're watching it on YouTube, I honestly suggest you speed it up. When I watch videos like this on YouTube, I put it at 1.25 or even 1.5, depending on how much I want to be able to interact and see what they're doing. If I'm just listening to it, a lot of times I'll just run it at 1.5, because life's too short for slow videos, right? Check me out. See you next. If you want to see how these play out, Sundays at 5:30 Pacific time. Come back to Twitch. .tv /Svenster77. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next week. Where we will be doing more of this on Wednesday at 10:30 Pacific time in the morning. And enjoy the rest of your day.